What's going on? Happy Sunday, everybody. So we're going to talk about there are two critical deadlines for options that the Yankees are facing. I'm going to get to in a second. Let me just give you the NFL Week 7 previews really quickly. Right now, the LA Rams are up 21-zip on the Jacksonville Jaguars heading into the fourth quarter. Rest of the games, New Orleans Saints are in Chicago to face the Bears. The Bears were a 4.5-point favorite. Over-under is 44.5. The Dolphins are in Cleveland to face the Browns. The Browns are a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is 35. The Patriots are in Tennessee to face the Titans. The Patriots are a 6.5-point favorite. Over-under is 41.5. The Las Vegas Raiders are in Kansas City to face the Chiefs. Chiefs are a 12.5-point favorite. Over-under is 45.5. And I'm going to get to the baseball in 1 second. I'm just going to finish this up. The Eagles are in Minnesota to face the Vikings. The Eagles are a 2-point favorite. Over-under 44. Carolina Panthers are in MetLife to face my New York Jets, who are 0-6, baby. Panthers are 1.5-point favorite, and over-under is 41. The Giants are in Denver to face the Broncos, who are a 7.5-point favorite. Over-under is 40.5. The Indianapolis Colts are in LA to face the Chargers. Chargers are 2.5-point favorite. Over-under is 48.5. Washington Commanders are in Dallas to face the Cowboys. NFC East matchup here. Cowboys are 1.5-point favorite. Over-under is 54.5. Packers are in Arizona to face the Cardinals. Packers are a 7-point favorite. Over-under is 44.5. And lastly, the Atlanta Falcons are in San Francisco. Face the Niners. Niners are a 1.5-point favorite. Over-under is 47. Now, let's get to baseball options. I don't know if I saw the video I put out earlier. There's chatter now about Bryce Harper. Why? Because Dave Dombrowski did basically an end-of-the-year press conference a couple days ago. And it kind of broke down everything with regards to the Phillies. And somebody communicated Bryce Harper's willingness to move to the outfield to accommodate a first baseman should he want to bring in a first baseman. Let's just say Pete Alonso, right? And Dave Dombrowski kind of shot that down. And he also said he's not really sure Bryce Harper is the same player as he was before, and so on and so forth. And I'll just make something clear. Jake, what's up, man? Okay, now. This is just speculation. You folks can think what you want, but it leads me a couple of questions that have come up to my head is, in a down year, Bryce Harper's production offensively was mostly in line with Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger for the most part. Okay, and he's got 7 years left on his contract, 6 or 7. The other question I would ask is that 6 or 7 going to line up with the 6 or 7 you're probably going to have to give Cody Bellinger, right? Or the 12 years, the 10 or 12 years, you're going to have to give Kyle Tucker. And the other question is kind of a multi-part question is, can you get the Phillies to eat some of the money in the contract, right? So I think Dominguez gets moved this offseason, Ricardo, for pitching. I think Dominguez gets moved for pitching. I do. But we'll see, Ricardo. We'll see what happens. I know he's being shopped. I'm hearing it from people on the inside with the Yankees. I know he's being shopped. Okay. Stephen B. What's up? So, yeah, and this is, again, like, will the Yankees get him? I don't know. But this talk, and Dave Dombrowski, I don't know why he does this, but he sometimes has a tendency to say more than he needs to say. You're generally not going to throw your players under the bus like that in a press conference, but he has a tendency to do that. Dave Dombrowski is known for this unfiltered way of doing things. So, and it's leading to a lot of speculation right now. And if the Yankees, and again, a lot of Yankee fans were like, why did we trade for Giancarlo Stanton when we could have signed Bryce Harper, who wanted to be a Yankee? It's a legitimate question. Harper's 32, okay? 32. And he's clearly building a Hall of Fame career. The question I have is, as well, is would he come here, if he came here, would he be an outfielder or would he be a first baseman? If he's a first baseman, he would be blocking Ben Rice. So in that regard, I would put him in the outfield, 33. Okay. And can we get the Phillies? And if the Phillies want to move him, they will be willing to eat some of the contract. Okay. And the better package of prospects we give them, the more willing they would probably be to eat. That's generally the way it goes in negotiations. You want to trade somebody who's expensive, the better package you get, the more you eat in the contract. Question is, too, what would the Yankees have to give the Phillies or Dombrowski to get a trade like that? But the initial other thing, too, is would you actually do it? Right? Would you actually do it? And does he line up, right, offensively with Cody Bellinger and Kyle Tucker, right? So, well, the problem with Dominguez is not better than any of these guys. Not better than Dominguez, not better than Tucker, he's not better than Harper. That's the problem. He'll be blocked again. I think Dominguez gets shot for pitching. Well, I know he's going to get shot for pitching. I shouldn't say I think. I know he is. Okay? But if they keep Dominguez, then you got to play him. But he's also, let's just say hypothetically they bring back Cody Bellinger and let Trent Grisham walk with a qualifying offer, right? And now Big G's not holding the Yankees up. The Marlins are eating $10 million of his contract now, starting this year in 2026. So he's not holding up anything, Giancarlo Stanton. Okay? And the fact of the matter is, Bryce Harper wouldn't come here to be the DH. So at some point, that spot's going to have to be occupied by Jason Dominguez. I mean, not Aaron Judge, excuse me. I would not play Dominguez over Bryce Harper. There's no way. So, and again, Bryce Harper is this gamer that a lot of fans want, right? This battle-tested gamer. And again, I know a lot of people ask, well, we didn't win any championships with Stanton. Well, the Phillies haven't won anything with Bryce Harper either. Okay? But that's also not what you can't be putting it all on one player either. They have Kyle Schwarber there. They have Trey Turner, JT Realmuto, Zach Wheeler. They have a star-studded roster there, and they still haven't won a championship. It's not as easy as people think, right? Stanton has not been a bad move, Reggie. Stanton's been good with the Yankees. Giancarlo Stanton. He's been, with the exception of this season, has been our best clutch player in the postseason. Judge took it over this year. Good. No. But we'll see what happens. I mean, and I'm not predicting a deal for Harper to New York, but does he become a legitimate trade option now that we're hearing what we're hearing about Dave Dombrowski and saying what he said? All right? Jess has a trade proposal here. What? Skubal to the Yankees. Jace Young for third. Well, we have a third baseman. We don't need Young. And we don't need McKinstry either. We don't need utility either. We have two of them. Oswaldo Cabrera and Jose Caballero. But Skubal, you have me dialed in there. They're not going to trade Volpe. He doesn't have trade value. But he might cost Lombard and Warren, or Jones and Warren, or Dominguez and Warren. Now, keep in mind, one of the things that the Tigers are prioritizing is outfield bats. Lombard, the guys you mentioned, don't accommodate outfield bats for the Tigers. That's why Dominguez and Jones become much more valuable in a trade for them, right? Stanton was traded to the Yankees. And now how is it retarded, Duran? That trading for Tarik Skubal is that's a Evil Empire type move. Okay? The Mets are not going to get Skubal. And what people use, when you say people are saying, what people, Jake? They can spend whatever they want, but do they have the players to get them? I doubt it. And do they have $80 million coming off the books like the Yankees do? No. You don't sign them for one season. You give them an extension too. Okay? That has to be part of a trade. A trade wouldn't happen without an extension agreed to. Okay? He's not going to cost not 1 year school is not going to cost the top 4 or 5 prospects. He'll cost a good amount, but not the top 4 or 5 prospects. Skeens would. Paul Skeens, different story. Not Tarik Skubal. You can't confirm that, Duran. Can't confirm that he will never sign an extension. If he gets what he wants a year early, he'll sign it. And we already have an idea of what they're looking for. Right? The Tigers came in with a 4-year offer under $100 million, which is 200 to 250 million short. And he's rep by Scott Boras, so you know he's going to try and break Gerrit Cole's record. We already know that. Salary cap's not happening. The Mets are owned by Steve Cohen and his capital group. He can be outbid. He can be outbid by the Dodgers easily. Outbid's Steve Cohen's an individual. Dodgers are owned by private equity and venture capital. Okay. No, Yamamoto didn't. I don't think he broke Cole's record, if I'm mistaken. I think he got 325, right? If I remember correctly. Cole got 326. And Cole got 9 years, 324. Is it 324? Maybe he did break it. 9 years, 324, 36 per year. I think that's right. I got to go back and look at that. But again, this is the question now, right? Cole got 324. Okay. Cole got more per year than Yamamoto. Yes. He will break the record, Scooble. Yeah. He's 28 years old. And now if a team wants to go after him and acquire him, because it sounds like he's going to become available now because of the miles apart that he is with the Tigers, then now's the time to pounce on him, right? Dodgers have to win multiple championships in a row to be a dynasty. 2 in a row doesn't make you a dynasty. I understand what you're saying, Jay, but they're not there yet. They're good, no doubt about it, but they're not there yet. Yeah, the Tigers will be smart to trade, and you get a lot for them. Because I don't think they're going to bring back Gleyber Torres and a couple of these other players either, Tigers. So this is the chance for them to recoup and restock the farm, right? They would get a return, a huge return. Just like the Pirates would for Paul Skeens, but they're not going to trade him either. At least not yet. The Yankees already offered him at the deadline, Jones and Lombard, and they snapped. They said no. No. Which is crazy, right? But true. No, they're not. Okay, 100%. Pirates. They do a lot of their players dirty. Look what they've done to their players recently. They're eligible to kind of get a bonus, then they release them all of a sudden, so they can't get the bonus. Oh, I have no idea, Jake. It's too early to talk about an extension, not 3 years early. Don't know. I got to see how he plays next couple of years. I'm not sure. But if Cole keeps playing well, I'd give him another year or two. Sure. If he keeps playing well. All right. Scooble for McKinstry. Young. I would take Young and McKinstry out of there, CJS. We don't need either one of them. We don't need either one of them. Just Scooble. We don't need anybody else from the Tigers except for Scooble. All right. Yeah, you're gonna get 4 years of control for Skeens. The return of that's gonna be bigger than Scooble, no doubt about it. Glenn's got a question here. Do the rules prevent GMs from talking trades until 5? They can't talk about them publicly. Now I know. That I know. They can't talk about them publicly. Consigliere, there he is. Now, if they talk with other GMs privately and don't disclose it, then what are you gonna do? Put them in GM jail? Like, no. Yeah. I know they're going to look into Scooble and Skeens this offseason. They're going to relook into Skeens again because they already made an offer at the deadline for him. And Bigo, what's happening, man? I went over the NFL Week 7 previews already. Now I just want to get into this. Almost like a Hollywood non-disclosure. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. But they can't publicly talk about it until 5 days after. Trades and free agency doesn't officially start until 5 days after the World Series. Ready for the Jets game, Yankees? Yep. Yep. Carolina's in town. They're a 1.5 point favorite over my Jets. Just get a win, man. Just get a win, please. Hill, Warren, and Dominguez for. That's probably a package that can come close, Consiglietti. Because they need starting pitching. Because I don't think Jack Flaherty is going to be back. Starting pitching they can use, and they need an outfielder. Dominguez makes sense too. And I know he's being shot for pitching, Dominguez. Do I think Judge will get a ring? Yeah, but I'm not basing everything on it. But yeah, I think he'll get one. Yeah. I doubt Detroit left if that hangs up. They might ask for another prospect or something like that, but you had two major league starters, okay, and a major league outfield. All those guys are major league ready right now for the Tigers. So we don't know what Hal's legacy is. People like to define it as how he's not George. George never had to deal with a lot of this stuff, so it's pointless comparing him to George. Or realistically, I think it's going to get pitching and outfield bats, good bats, 3 or 4 prospects for Scooble. Prospects and players. Mm. George didn't have 6. The Yankees had 6. George inherited 77 and 78, right? They sucked throughout the 80s. Terrible. And half to the 90s, too. Then they won in 96, 98, 99, and 2000, right? Who did George have to add to the rosters to get a lot of those rings? Brian Cashman, right? George's teams would not have won in 90. Excuse me. Allergies are killing me. George would not have won without the additions that Cashman made. Right? No, not Stick Michael. Stick Michael wasn't GM those years. Reggie. He was GM and when? 95. 97. None of those years. None of those other years. They're all Cashman. Right? He added to the 90s dynasty. And those moves that he added, the 90s weren't a dynasty without those 90s teams would not have won those championships. Let's think about it. 98. Who were the clutch players in 98? David Wells, Scott Brocious, El Duque, right? All Cashman additions. 99, Clements, all Cashman. In 2000, David Justice, all Cashman. Those teams would not have won those championships without the additions Cashman made. The core four would not have been enough. The core four wasn't even enough in 96. Bob Watson added Cecil Fielder and Darryl Strawberry and some of these other guys. Tim Raines, right? Remember that. And then in 2009, right? If Cashman didn't add CC Sabat, AJ Burnett, Mark Teixeira, Emerson Marte, Nick Swisher, that team would not have won the World Series. Cashman did have his way in 2009, Reggie. Cashman did have his way. Cashman had a trade lined up for Vladimir Guerrero Sr. He was overruled by George Steinbrenner, who wanted Gary Sheffield instead. Right? Was just Steinbrenner money. Just like they are now. Steinbrenner money. Right, Reggie? No. Cashman didn't have his way. And again, assuming Cashman wanted Judge gone. He has to get Hal's sign off to agree. And Judge wanted the extra year. Hal approved it. Again, just coming up with any reason to not credit Cashman for anything is kind of pointless. Right? King is a free agent. Well, there's an option. I think it's a mutual option. So if one side doesn't get accepted, then he becomes a free agent, Michael King. Okay. Yeah, Hal's the owner. He had to do everything with Judge negotiations. Brian Cashman, he acquired Scott Brocious. Straight up, Clemenza. Also remember, George Steinbrenner tried to trade Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, and Bernie Williams. Who talked him out of it? Hal and Cashman. Okay. Yeah, he became the best number 9 hitter in baseball history, Reggie. Scott Brocious. Thank you, Brian Cashman, for bringing him here. The World Series hero in 96, in 98, and in 2001 against the Diamondbacks. Even though they lost, he hit that clutch home run to put them in ahead off of that Diamondbacks reliever at Yankee Stadium. I was at that game. He didn't trade Mike Lowell for Scott Brocious. He traded for Scott Brocious. He didn't sign Brocious. Okay. We don't need Baez either. Oh, we don't need anybody from Detroit except for School. Yeah, he traded Mike Lowell away. So? Brocious tour. Yeah, man. That was a huge home run game. Brocious. Huge. That's a Cashman get. So is El Duque. He found them. Cuba. Cashman travels all over the world. The Ken Phelps trade, that was, I don't remember that well. I think it was before Cashman's time. That's when they traded Ken Phelps for Jay Buhner. Yeah. That was in, let's see. Yankees. That was in July 21st, 1988. July 21st, 1988. They traded Jay Buhner to the Mariners in exchange for Ken Phelps. Not Cashman. Keigawa was a desperation move when the Red Sox got Daisuke Matsuzaka. Neither one of them hit the jackpot on either one of those guys. Red Sox didn't. The Yankees didn't. Yep, 1998. George Steinbrenner. All George Steinbrenner. Yep. Now, get into the topic at hand here really quickly. The Yankees have 2 critical. He's going to go. He'll be a Hall of Fame general manager. There's no way he doesn't get into the Hall of Fame. People can hate that or not, but he's going to Hall of Fame. Okay. There's 2 deadlines, critical deadlines for the Yankees. Tim Hill's option for $3 million is a team option, and Jonathan Loaisiga's option, $5 million for 2026. Both of them are in the bullpen. Okay. Well, I'm ready, Jacob. I got a lot of stuff coming. A lot of stuff coming. I got my MLB free agent predictions. I got my most likely players to get traded. I've got a bunch of stuff. I'm waiting for the World Series to end so I could get more clarity as to free agent predictions, because right after the World Series, you have the option deadlines, right? So and opt-out deadlines. Players can opt out and all of a sudden be added to the free agent list. Options not picked up by players or teams, they can automatically be added to the free agent list. So I'm waiting for those to happen before I do my MLB free agent predictions, because they might be missing some people. Yeah, exactly, Jake Boss. I think there's a good chance they trade Stephen Kwan, Jacob. And to agree with Consigliere, I would keep Tim Hill. I would pick up his option, and I would decline Loaisiga's option and try to use that $5 million to try to bring Amed Rosario back. Valuable bench depth here. Valuable positional versatility. That's what I would do with the 2 options, but that's just me. I don't work for these guys. So it's going to be crazy, Beagle. It's gonna get crazy, right? What if the Guardians Yankees make a trade? I mean, if they could pull off a trade for Stephen Kwan, I would be all over it. If they could pull off a trade for Stephen Kwan, he's a free agent in 2028, so you got 2 more years left for him with him. Um, and he could profile. He could be our prototypical leadoff guy, Jacob. It's not gonna come cheap though. Someone like Tim Hill has a team option, so the Yankees can pick up the option. If they decline the option, he goes right to free agency. He can't, if they pick up his option, then he can't choose to be a free agent because it's a team option. If it's a mutual option, the Yankees can pick up the option, but Tim Hill can decline it. If it's a mutual option, then he becomes a free agent. Or he can be, he can pick up the option, but the Yankees can decline it, right? So that's the kind of the way it goes with options, Jake. Cody's a free agent, Jacob. Cody Bellinger's a free agent. He's opting out, becoming a free agent. So you can sign him in free agency if you want. I'm telling you, Beagle, man, that's what dogs do. So my daughters go to a restaurant, they have to go to the potty 7 times. Daddy, and I have to go all of them to the potty. Cody's opting out and becoming a free agent, Jacob. Yes. Yep. So you could just sign him outright. Good job, Beagle. Hey, that's a lot of steps, bro. It's a lot of steps. But any other insights on the options? Would you keep Tim Hill and decline Loizaga's option? I want to see what you guys think. That's what I would do. But I would also, what do you call it? Add another lefty to go along with Tim Hill. I don't want Tim Hill to be the primary lefty reliever in the bullpen. Cody Bellinger, no, I don't have him going to the Dodgers. I'm doing my MLB free agent predictions soon, so stay tuned, get ready. I think you'll find it interesting. I would drop Lasagna too, Ricardo. Agreed, man, agreed. That movie was freaking good, Beagle F1. Holy moly. Woo! Another trade. Wait, Scooble for Warren, Dominguez, Hess, Hill. That's too much for Scooble. And at least in Jettis, in my opinion. Now, I would have no problem giving them Warren, Dominguez, and Hill. But beyond that, I'm not giving also Ben Hess and 2 more pitchers beyond that. I think that's a lot, CJS. But keep the trade circulation going, man. I mean, this is again like we'll see what happens with Bryce Harper, right? The speculation now is that he might become available, and because of the stuff that Dave Dombrowski said, and if he does become available, does he become trade bait? And can the Yankees get him? What would they give up for him? How much money can you get the Phillies to eat of the contract if they want to do that, right? I'm not giving Ben Rice for him, especially if you would move Bryce Harper to the outfield. Like, what would you do with Bryce? Or what would be the plan with Bryce Harper is my question. I would want to add Harper to the team we have if we did, not subtract a productive player with the kind of almost equivalent production for him. I don't think that makes sense. he signed the deal being in Philly, but based on what happened this week, now there's speculation that he might become available because of what Dombrowski shot down his willingness to go to the outfield to accommodate a new first baseman. And he also said he's not the same player he was before. Harper would definitely be a win now move. Yeah. And again, Bellinger would only cost money. So, and again, at the end of the day, like that's the question I have. Like, but you could also sign Bellinger and put him in center field and trade for Bryce Harper and put him in left field. You could have both if you want, right? Now, I don't know if he's going to go back to the outfield. He showed him. He said he's willing to, but I understand if he wants to stay at first base. I get it. But imagine him in front of Judge. Yeah, I mean, people were salivating over this a couple years ago. Salivating over it. Cashman took the Stanton trade over the Harper free agency. He took the Stanton trade. I mean, you could have Rice at first base, Rice at the dish, but I'm not sure if Rice is going to go behind the dish full time. I'm not sure. Jeffy. Well, exactly, AJ. Like, people like, oh, my Cashman's terrible. Why did you choose Stanton over Bryce Harper? And now that he might become available, people are like, I passed on him. Right? This guy's a straight-up gamer, too, man. Straight-up gamer. But see, it's good to – this is why I ask these questions. That's why I want you to see Alaska's in the building. What's up, Alaska? What's up, Sivya? The Stanton trade, yeah. You know, they took money. They took what's that guy's name? Starling Castro, a pitching prospect, and they offered to pay $30 million down on Stanton's contract. So it was a lot less expensive than the Harper contract. And now the Marlins are paying $10 million a year of Stanton's last couple of years. Yeah. Yeah, any GM would have taken that contract. I agree. Well, this is what I'm asking, Jake. If he becomes speculation's coming out now based on what Dave Dombrowski said about him, right? And again, I'm not predicting that it happens, like I said, but there's a lot of talk right now about do the Phillies want to get out of Bryce Harper's contract? Okay. This year, he batted .261, 27 homers, 75 ribbies. Okay. So, well, does he stay and have a bounce back season? Like, well, exactly too. Yeah, and now the Dodgers have resources they didn't have before, which helps them. Oh, I want Brendan Donovan too. Now, keep in mind, Brendan Donovan also had a little bit of work done, hernia work done once the season ended, so he's going to be recovering. But I don't think he's going to be a problem at all. That's what I'm saying. They might pivot to Alonso low key, which would force Harper to the outfield. But yeah. And again, imagine taking Alonso to stick it to the Mets. And let's just say you trade Harper and you get some value back for him. Right? Stick it to the Mets. Bichette, I would take Brendan Donovan over Bichette. St. Louis is facing a problem trying to unload that money. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really trade value, baseball trade value. The problem with it suggests it doesn't factor in need. Right? Your trade value is your trade value no matter what, but the need kind of changes the calculation of trade value. It's kind of leaving the human effect out of it to a degree. You know what I mean? Donovan is realistic that Cashman go after Jake. Yes, it's more realistic a possibility now. Now that the Cardinals have made it kind of apparent that they're going to be shopping him for the first time. If you have the opportunity to get like the best left-handed pitcher in the game, like Tarik Skubal, you have to jump on it. You have to jump on it. Now I'm hearing that the Milwaukee Brewers are going to shop Freddie Peralta this offseason too, so he's another one. Could be an option too. He would not cost as much as Skubal, that's for darn sure. But he's also coming from the National League to the American League. Skubal's already in the American League, and he is an absolute monster. Skubal, he is a beast, a workhorse. So that's a guy, you can add him to the rotation. That's a ballsy trade, sure, but like if you want to do Evil Empire type moves, that's an Evil Empire type move. I don't, yeah, Beagle. I don't follow any of that baseball baloney on Facebook. Derek Jeter's returning as GM. He was never GM to begin with. What are you talking about? Like, these people are just crazy on Facebook. No, Cashman said he's leaving everything open. There's no guarantee that Volpe said he projects as a starter, but he didn't say their starter. If you go back and see. He also said we don't know what the roster is going to look like. So Brian Cashman always leaves to open up the possibility that something better else comes along. And think about it this way. Let's just say you get Donovan, hypothetically, and he's got 2 years left on his contract before he's a free agent. 2 years of arbitration. Let's just say he plays shortstop this year. And then they don't bring Jazz back after next year. Hypothetically, again, you can move Donovan to second. And at that point, you'll have George Lombard ready for short. And you still have Jose Caballero. You still have these other guys, too. So, yeah, I mean, it might be easier to get Bryce Harper than you think. But again, I'm not predicting they do it, but this will be talked about as we get closer to the winter meetings and so on and so forth. Now that Dave Dombrowski is kind of thrown down the gauntlet, right, and made his feelings publicly apparent. So, loss of DH rule doesn't matter. That's a good question, Clemenza. How long until the loss of DH rule? It's a good question, Clemenza. I'm not sure. Because the National League kind of is still in transition too, right? So it's going to take a few years to kind of get more naturalized DHs baked into the National League like they are in the American League. Well, they adapted it, yes, but not to every team. There's not enough DH players yet for all the NL teams. Some of the best teams did, no doubt about it, Teron. Sign Bellinger, trade for Harper. So you're signing Bellinger and you're trading for Harper. Trading for Skubal. Trading Hell Dominguez and Martin for Skubal and Jones. Jones is the main piece for Harper. That's a bold offseason right there, Jettis. Bold. I like the boldness. 2026 rotation. Skubal, Cole, Fried, Schiller, Rodon. Like, I mean, look at that. Look at that. Ridiculous. I do think Warren might be part of a trade, would be part of a trade for Skubal. I think you'd probably have to send them 2 major league pitchers. I think, but because they might lose Flaherty too. I have a feeling Flaherty's going to opt out and kind of test the free agent market. I like Yarbrough too. I would bring him back, but I I'm leaning towards him not coming back because I think he can probably get better opportunity elsewhere. If you get Bryce Harper for first base and move Rice to catcher, what do you do with Austin Wells? Do you trade him as part of a trade to the Phillies because JT Realmuto is a free agent, right? Is that an option? I don't really go by too much what Sherman said. Sherman said that last year too, Jake. Leroy did say he wants to start. Yeah, that's why I think he'll get a deal elsewhere. Maybe somebody like a team like Arizona, something like that. Like Cicero, it'd be crazy. What do you know, Ken? Flaherty did not have a great season. He did not. Just going over the options, Ken, and the speculation that we're hearing now about Bryce Harper. After what Dave Dombrowski said a couple days ago. Yeah, I don't think it would be smart to opt out either, but he probably thinks he can get more in free agency. But you never know, Duran. Like, I mean, I would not opt out either. Just like I would not offer, what do you call it? I would offer Grisham a qualifying offer, and I'm pretty confident he would not take it. Because I don't think he's going to leave 50, 60 million on the table to sign somewhere else right now. Because you can give him, and if he takes it, what if he gets hurt this year? Then he blows the opportunity to sign for some money for agency next year. I'm not sure if he wants to pass on an opportunity to cash in now. But again, I have been wrong before. Yankees have about 80 coming off the book, 85 coming off picks from this offseason, and then another 15 or 20 next year. DJ's 15 comes off next year. So well, this is the key, Ken. This is what we're talking about, right? The speculation, like what would his spot be, right? And people are saying, okay, does he come here? Because he's shown a willingness to move back to the outfield. Yankees have 2 outfield spots becoming available. Okay, let's just say you do that, and then you sign Cody Bellinger for left field or whatever. And because that can possibly, let's just go with this. If he plays the outfield, if he plays for first base, then you move Ben Rice to catcher, which you and I have talked about, Ken. And then you can, at that point, you could trade Austin Wells in that package to Philadelphia for Bryce Harper because JT Realmuto is going to be free agent. Okay. So in that scenario, the pieces line up. If the Phillies would take Austin Wells in a trade, right? And if Harper was first base, and I'm fine with that. If Rice stays here at catcher, then you can move Wells potentially in that deal for Bryce Harper. Let's just say. It might cost him Spencer Jones. Austin Wells and Spencer Jones for Bryce Harper. And then you get the Phillies to eat some of that money. Right? It wasn't Tommy John, but it was a similar procedure too. And they might ask for a pitcher too. You know, could you give them whatever, Warren Wells, or whatever, right? So it's going to be interesting to see, what happens, especially, and we're going to get more speculation. There's a lot of the shit that's going to circulate, right? And the fact that Dave Dombrowski said what he said is going to lead to a lot of talks about, are they looking to move Bryce Harper and where is he the best fit and so on and so forth. I think they would be all over Spencer Jones too, because they need outfielders. Same here too, Ken. You can get Brendan Donovan without hampering your ability to trade for some other guys. You can definitely do that. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this too. Cashman has been quietly inquiring about Brendan Dunham, just like he was quietly inquiring about Juan Soto before he got him. Right. So Kazuma Okamoto, I profiled him this past week, Mark. um, he's a good contact bat who plays infield and outfield. Right. A good utility guy who runs into power too, and he bats on the righty side. So he's a guy I would look into over Munetaka Murakami. I like Murakami, but I have a feeling he's going to go to the Dodgers. And Murakami's profile is more as a power and strikeout guy. This guy, Okamoto, he's more of a contact-oriented bat. And the Yankees need more contact-oriented bats. There was a rumor of Grisham to the Phillies, yes, and he's a free agent. So, and think about it this way: they're already looking to trade or release Nick Castellanos. Harrison Bader's going to be free agent. Max Kepler's going to be free agent. So they could use multiple outfielders. The Phillies. Bellinger, Harper, Real Muto. I mean, Real Muto would be crazy. But like Real Muto, I mean, what do you do then? Do you not catch? Because in this situation, Pixelman is in your situation there. Is Harper playing first base or is he playing the outfield? Okamoto plays infield and outfield. He plays first base and third base, and he plays the outfield. He's kind of a utility guy, Mark. So he's got versatility. I feel like Kyle Schwarber is a free agent. Yeah, Kyle Schwarber is going to be a free agent. But I would be shocked if he doesn't come back to the Phillies. I would be absolutely floored. Harper can play first base and outfield. Rice can play first base and catcher. Yes. And on days where Harper plays the outfield, you could put Rice at first base and kind of maneuver around, right? Well, so here's the thing too, Ron. He already communicated his willingness to move out to the outfield to accommodate for a new first baseman to the Phillies. Dave Dombrowski shot that down this week in his press conference. So, yeah. Real Muto does need days off as well. Yeah, and he's a righty-handed hitting catcher. The Yankees are looking for a right-handed hitting catcher. And Real Muto doesn't have to be the full-time starter here now. Now, would I be surprised if he went somewhere else like Baltimore to kind of, mentor those young pitchers? No, I would not be surprised. But I would not pass on from Real Muto if we can get him to platoon with our starting catcher. No. Well, the Dodgers are not going to bring back Max Muncy, Jake. So if Murakami played first base, third base, I could see him going to the Dodgers. Now, he's not as strong defensively at third as he is first, though. So there's that as well. Now, Murakami might be a legit option for the Yankees, but do they really need that? I mean, I would take the other guy, Okamoto, over Murakami, in all honesty. And Murakami doesn't play the outfield. Okamoto does. So I like that versatility. Well, Schwarber's older, but I'd be shocked if he came back, if he didn't go back to Philly. I'm sure they'll look into him, but I'd be shocked. He just fits perfectly over there. Well, this is true, too. Yeah, Teoscar playing the outfield. Yeah. I mean, like, this is what I'm talking. This is why I do this stuff, so that because you guys can put the thinking caps on, right? And this is so much better than doing bullshit Twitter and Discord talking points from other people. Because now we're thinking about ways to facilitate something like this should it happen, right? I don't know. I'd be surprised if the Dodgers signed Kazuma Okamoto. I'd be surprised, but you never know. Don't be surprised they signed Kyle Tucker. Well, this is true too. Yeah, Soto wasn't a good defender ever when we went to the World Series with him. He's better with his bat. than his glove. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, and Rice needs work at first base. This is what I'm talking about too, Jay. Like, you could put Rice behind the plate, but are they willing to do that? I don't know. How would I structure? I would go Scooble 1, Cole 2, Free 3, Schlittler 4, Rodon 5. Probably go righty, lefty, like that. That's what I'd probably do. Two things Yankees need: bullpen and outfield run. Position-wise. But in addition to that, more contact bats. And the guys that they bring in, I think that contact bats would be a good idea. Exactly, Ken. Talking Point Central. I gotta put it on somewhere here. Welcome to Talking Point Central. Facebook. I feel like I'm getting dumber when I read the stuff on Facebook. So I don't even waste my time. I'd be shocked, Duran, if Jason Dominguez and Jones are here in the outfield, because that's a huge drop off in production from Grisham and Bellinger. Huge drop off in production. One of those guys I could see, not both. If they kept Bellinger and traded for Donovan, I'd be fine with that, Jake. But they'd still need pieces beyond that, which is where then, if they did that, that's when I would consider, right, JT Realmuto and stuff like that. I do think, yeah, I agree, I think Dominguez is gone. Exactly, Bet. Dude, you're the best. You go to, what is it called? Yankees Digest? Is it Yankees Digest? You want the latest clickbait? He doesn't spend anything anymore, Ron. But if Bellinger goes to the Mets, let him go to the Mets. That would increase the chances of the Yankees getting somebody like Bryce Harper and signing Kyle Tucker, or one or the other. Yeah, I hate you, Pixel Man. This guy, I liken him to Brady Anderson. Brady Anderson was like 15, 16 home runs per season, solid player. And then one year he just hit 50. We were like, what the? And then it never happened again. He went back down to 15 or 12 or whatever it was. It reminds me of Brady Anderson from the Orioles. Well, this is the time for the Yankees to flex the financial muscle right now. This is the time to do it. But again, flexing the muscle doesn't necessarily, the assumption last year was that the Mets got Juan Soto, the Yankees would be a fourth place team, and the Mets were going to own New York. None of those things happened. None of them. Right? None of those things happened. So just getting the best player doesn't always mean you're getting the best fit. Just I encourage folks to keep that in mind. Right? Wow, you're going Diane Chambers from Cheers. Beck. Someone else that doesn't. Well, exactly, too. I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, a guy like Kyle Tucker probably makes more sense to the metrics people because he has a better two-strike hitting ratio. He's better strikeout to walk ratio than Bellinger and so on and so forth. He's considered that more that prototypical patient hitter to hit in front of or behind Aaron Judge. So, and if the analytics were probably to use their metrics, I have a feeling it would be in those areas for somebody to justify a Kyle Tucker. No. I'd be shocked if the Dodgers swept the World Series. Shocked. Well, that's the thing. Like this, people keep saying it's a Mets town. The Mets again, like, got to win multiple championships for that even to be this kind of, you better win 10 more championships for you to be considered that. But we get trolled by Mets people all the time. The WFAN fans and people would bring all that stuff from over here to over here from there. So we get it all the time. We got pounded by the Mets people when I had Hector reporting from the winter meetings live when the Mets signed Juan Soto. Remember that? High price starting pitcher that was worth the free agent money. Beck's got the analogies, man. Spring. Yeah, it's a different discipline between Tucker and Bellinger, right? At the plate. In the batter's box. In the batter's box. Well, exactly too, Clemens. Like they don't have 17. They got 2. But you gotta win 10 for you to be considered in the conversation. It ain't gonna be a Mets town until you match the Yankees. And that ain't gonna happen in our lifetime. It's like the Dodgers, they're not gonna match the Yankees in our lifetime either. High price reliever justified the crazy. Edwin Diaz was pretty damn good. Mariano Rivera, obviously. The other guy, I mean, we haven't had a ton. Like Josh Hader hasn't been worth it yet. Mason Miller, well, he's got multiple years before he becomes a free agent. He's still playing in pre-arb and arb. Mason Miller's on the cheap. Yeah, exactly. Best relievers have been all pre-arb folks. This is true, Brent Beck. That's right. He tore his ACL celebrating the world. I remember that. Exactly, too, Ray. I don't know why people keep saying it's going to be Jonathan. The 2 options, Hill and Loizaga, and what the Yankees, what are the options? What folks would do, and we talked about the Dombrowski, chatter when it comes to Bryce Harper too, and what folks would do, right? Talked about Harper and figuring out number one whether it's an actually option, because now we're starting to hear some chatter about it, and how he would fit here and where he would fit here and what we'd have to give up for him, and if the Phillies were willing to eat some money in the contract and so on and so forth. Sign Bellinger, sign Real Muto, trade for Harper, trade for Donovan. So you would add Bellinger back, Real Muto, you'd bring Harper and trade for Donovan. Damn. That's a ballsy offseason too. Ballsy offseason, Pixel. I don't know where either is, Jake. I mean, it's not going to be easy to get Skubal. It's not going to be easy. But once we found out about what the offer was with the Tigers, it immediately led to speculation that the Tigers were going to put Skubal on the market and try to get whatever they can get for him. Yes, it makes sense in that regard, but I would stop short of saying the Yankees are going to get him. There'd be no short. There's going to be a long line of people trying to get that guy. Right? Loizaga, I think, is going to, yeah. Troy would trade him to the National League. I mean, well, that's the other thing too. Why would you trade him to a team in the same league? It could be the National League. So, like, who would you trade him to? I don't think Bryce Harper would get a new contract. I don't think he'll get a new contract. He's got like 6 or 7 years left on the deal. Even though Boris will probably ask, but Skubal would be crazy, but yeah, apparently, Beck, that's what we're hearing now. I have a feeling they're gonna nutsack this year. They're gonna grow some pellets and move the guy. Because they're also trying to trade Sonny Gray. They're trying to, they're talking about trading one of their catchers, maybe Ivan Herrera, talking about trading Jojo Romero. So now's the time, I think, for the Cardinals to just cut bait here. And they did Donovan dirty, too, in the contract. With arbitration. They did him dirty, man. They really did. They also might try to attach Donovan to Gray. They might. Or a Donovan to Jojo Romero, one of these other folks. You never know. And any team that could be willing to eat Gray's money to get Donovan wins. Like that. This is what teams do in negotiations, right? Only teams that might be before. No, I don't think so, Jake. I don't rule out the Yankees ever. Do I think Harper entry? I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised. Well, now that we know about Carlos Rodon's surgery in his elbow that we didn't know about before until last week, a couple days ago, they will be quietly inquiring about a starting pitcher. Cole's not going to start the season on time. Neither is Rodon. So, and let's just say they trade away Hill or Warren to get a Donovan or and something like that to get someone else, get a big reliever. All of a sudden creates a need for two starting pitchers. So I would not put Tarek Skubal past the Yankees. The Dodgers don't need Skubal. Mets do. Dodgers don't. No, Fried still. I mean, the Yankees got cold when the Blue Jays got hot. It's that simple, right? That's playoff baseball. It happens. I'm looking forward to having Fried back next year. And Rodon. Ken. Yeah. Carolina is a 1.5-point favorite of the Jets. They better get the freaking win. Yeah, they backed up Yamamoto with Snell and Roki Sasaki and Tanner Scott. So the Tanner Scott thing's not working, but Roki is. He basically replaced freaking Tanner Scott with Roki Sasaki right now in the bullpen. Yeah, exactly. Scorching hot, and it just happens. That's baseball. Rodon got some loose particles removed from his elbow, Pixel Man. I went live the other day to talk about the press conference that Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman had. He got some loose particles removed from his elbow. So he's done 8 weeks of not throwing program. He'll start the season late. That's why. He'll be throwing for 8 weeks. It backs up his postseason preparation. Right? It won't happen. So Rodon, they've already confirmed that Rodon's not going to start the season early. On time. Donovan's got positional versatility. He plays infield and outfield. Yep. Yes, we could, AOG. Yeah. No, but if I had to, I like Jazz. He's a 30-30, but if I had to choose between Jazz and Donovan, I'm going Donovan. I've been talking about Donovan for 2 years. Donovan's got that positional versatility also. I like that. But if they kept Jazz, keep Jazz. I'm cool with that too. And again, you could play Donovan as shortstop now. Volpe's going to miss some time, right? So, which would make it easier for them to not have to rush him back. So, just a thought there too. Young pitcher could surprise. I'm Carlos LaGrange and Elmer De La Cruz are the ones I'm looking for. Rodriguez Cruz, I'm looking for the most. Jonathan. Someone else will pop up that we're not thinking of. We're hearing May or June for Garrett Cole, Clint. That's what we're hearing. Yeah, he played some short too, Beck. So that's what I'm saying. He's got this, and we don't have like which would allow them to play Caballero at his more natural utility man position, right? He's never been a starter, so you can continue to play him a couple days a week. And if Donovan needs a day here, if Jazz needs a day there, we have better versatility to put these guys in their place now. So he's as good of a Swiss Army knife as it gets, man. And he runs the bases with reckless abandon. He's a good defender. He's a good, solid player, man. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see the point in like. I don't know why folks keep talking about the one error he made in the postseason. No. Now, if you happen to prefer him over the Jazz, and you decide not to bring Jazz back next year after 2026, Donovan's got another year on his contract after that. So, but that you take as it comes. Now, I would add Donovan to Jazz now and have them both. I don't want to replace as much as I want to add to this team, right? In some cases, we have to replace, like in the outfield. We have no choice there. But in areas where I'd rather add, I would much rather add than replace. Acuna's not. No, Acuna, hell no. I like Acuna, but he gets hurt way too much. And there was no way I would rather keep Spencer Jones than trade for Acuna, Lewis. I like him. Don't get me wrong, I like him. But he gets hurt way too much, man. I wish Acuna didn't get hurt as much. Then that would be something I'd consider. Contract. Stanton's got 2 more years of guaranteed, and then either a player option, no, it's a team option or a buyout in 28. Or yeah. I mean, could you imagine adding Brendan Donovan and Kyle Tucker? It'd be crazy. Be crazy. Yeah, man. Well, that's what they kind of did it with Ryan Yarbrough and Paul Blackburn. And yeah, the Yankees get $10 million this 2026 and 2027 from Miami both years. Not a lot of injury history, even though he just had something cleaned up for a hernia, Donovan. But he was on his way to getting his best offensive season this year. But he checks all the boxes for the Yankees. All the boxes. The problem with Lane is he can't stay healthy. LaGrange, he's got a big arm. Lelani cannot stay healthy. I wish he could, but he can't. He's not moving up above high A. He should be higher, but he's not. All right. Yep. The buyout is paid by the Marlins, 2028. So the Yankees could essentially, if you decide to not pick up the option in 2028, then the Yankees are scot-free. If Judge gets the 500 home runs before 2028, I think the Yankees would probably do that, not pick up his option and let him walk in. Even go to Miami, sign for minimum wage to retire there if you want. The Marlins are paying his buyout anyway, $10 million. The problem with Lane is he's got to stay healthy. We don't even know what he can do. Like, this guy's been hyped through the roof too, but he hasn't shown anything to justify anything, keeping him. Big lefty, kind of reminds me of CC Sabathia, but he has not shown durability to back it up, and I wish he did. I think once Stanton's gone, Judge moves over to DH. Yes. It will keep him healthier. 100%. 100,000%. I'm not even thinking dynasty, Lou. Even if you win 2 years in a row, that's not dynasty. You got to win more than that. 2 years in a row is great, but I'm not really worried about the Dodgers. I'm not. Wait. But that's just me, Lou. That's just me. I mean, the Phillies picked the worst time to get cold. So did the Brewers pick the worst time to get cold. They basically made the path easy for the Dodgers in the National League. Now we'll see what happens with the Mariners and the Blue Jays. We need one of these teams to put up a freaking fight against the Dodgers. right? Yeah, late 90s. Yeah, I mean those are monster teams to run. Yeah, Fritz. Yeah, man. I'll take I'll take Brendan Donovan, man. I've been talking about it for 2 years, man. 2 years, baby. No, Phillies did get cold now. Yeah, it's just and like it happens, even though the best teams, right? Touchdown, keep Chiefs. All right. I'm actually gonna go out. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna go out and make a couple of calls for my solar company, and I'm gonna go talk to some people before I come back. Watch some football. So we'll have a great Sunday. Thanks so much for joining me. And again, tell your friends about the 161. You know, if they're baseball fans, please have them come and join. Discussions always. Ken. Now you just throwing haymakers. Ken's just throwing haymakers left and right. Here we go. Here we go. Peace and love to you, gang. Thanks so much for your feedback today and your contributions. As always, you are the best. If any other news comes out, you'll be getting here. Peace.